This one has an angle down here at the butt. Forms a right.
Now, these were adopted by the Swiss Army in 1901.
Action Army functions just about like any other single action you'll find on the market today.
But I've had other firearms that were a lot worse to break down.
Which means that this was a shorter pull on the hammer.
All metal frame, all metal slide, and it's definitely weighty.
And they made it between 1950 and 1977.
Again, with the blowback action, it's going to give you a little bit more recoil.
Number 10, Colt 1851 Navy Revolver, $2,000. The Colt revolving belt pistol or Navy pistol is a cap and ball revolver that was designed by Samuel Colt between 1847 and 1850. Colt first referred to this revolver as the Ranger size model and then revolving belt, but the designation Navy quickly took over. The model 1851 Navy was Colt's most popular percussion revolver. Nearly 250,000 of the iconic 36 caliber 6-shot model were produced between 1850 and 1873. The 44 caliber revolvers are called Army and 36 caliber revolvers are called Navy. The 1851 Navy was used by a number of famous soldiers and lawmen, as well as infamous outlaws in American history. Number 9. Colt Single Action Army, $2,000. The Colt Single Action Army, also known as the SAA, Model P, Peacemaker, or M1873, is a single-action revolver handgun. It was designed for the U.S. government service revolver trials of 1872 by Colt's Patent Firearms Manufacturing Company and was adopted as the standard-issued pistol of the U.S. Army from 1873 until 1892. The Colt SAA has been offered in over 30 different calibers and various barrel lengths. Its overall appearance has remained consistent since 1873. The revolver was dubbed the Peacemaker and is a famous piece of Americana and the American Wild West era due to its popularity with ranchers, lawmen, and outlaws alike.
With the distinctive 4 clicks when you cock the hammer.
All right, guys, so we just got done at the range with the Colt Single Action Army. And I have to say,
Action Army functions just about like any other single action you'll find on the market today.
I'm sad that it took me this long to get behind one. I really enjoyed it a lot.
Today, they are mainly bought as memorabilia by collectors and reenactors. Its design has influenced the production of numerous other models from other companies. The original length of the barrel, issued to the U.S. Cavalry, was 7.5 inches, is its distinguishing feature, with an overall length of 13 inches, but it has varied over the years. Number 8. Smith & Wesson Model 10, $1,000. The Model 10 is one of S&W's oldest guns still in production, first released in 1899 as the Hand Ejector. It is a 6-shot 38 special only double-action revolver. The sights are fixed, with the rear being integral to the frame. It comes with a 4-inch heavy profile barrel, rubber Packmayer grips, and a hammer with a fixed firing pin. On the frame you'll notice CDC etched into the finish. This is not for the Center for Disease Control, but California Department of Corrections. Aside from some holster wear on the front of the trigger guard, the gun was immaculate. The trigger is heavy, but so incredibly smooth that the weight is barely noticeable. I'm of the persuasion that a revolver should only be fired double action, and doing so is a dream with this piece. The Packmayer have a sticky rubber surface keeps the gun secured in my hand under recoil and sweat, as well as providing a larger palm swell, which fits me much better when compared to the factory wood grips. Despite the high praise, there are some downsides to the Model 10. The gun is only chambered for .38 Special. While I rarely fire .357 Magnum out of my other guns, having the option to switch between the two would be nice. Since the sights are not adjustable, you must figure out where your favorite load prints and shoot from memory, a potential issue for reloaders. Being an all-steel revolver, the weight is substantial, coming in at nearly 2.4 pounds unloaded. This may begin to wear on you over the course of a day if you opt to carry it, or put off new shooters who think heavy equals bad. If you are looking at getting into the 6-shooter game, I suggest you start here. Number 7. The Luger Parabellum, $2,000. Luger pistol, also called Parabellum pistol, semi-automatic German hand weapon first manufactured in 1900 for both military and commercial use. It was made in .765 and 9mm calibers and had a toggle joint breech mechanism. On recoil after firing, the mechanism opened to receive a new cartridge from an 8-round removable box magazine in its grip. Many different models of the Luger were developed after its invention by George Luger, an Austrian, in 1898. The Luger was a standard pistol of the German armed forces from 1908 to 1938.
It's a little tricky because of just a lot of fitting and a lot of technology, of course, alongside with the Colt 1911. But I've had other firearms that were a lot worse to break down. Now, these were adopted by the Swiss Army in 1901. Definitely a beautiful weapon for a more civilized time.
Other countries that have used the weapon in their armed forces at one time or another include Brazil, Bulgaria, Finland, Iran, Norway, Switzerland, and Turkey. Number 6. The Colt 1911, $2,000. The M1911, also known as the Colt 1911 or Colt Government in case of Colt-produced models, is a single-action, recoil-operated, semi-automatic pistol chambered for the 45 ACP cartridge. The pistol's formal U.S. military designation as of 1940 was Automatic Pistol, Caliber 45, M1911 for the original model adopted in March 1911, and Automatic Pistol, Caliber 45, M1911A1 for the improved M1911A1 model, which entered service in 1926. The designation changed to Pistol, Caliber 45 Automatic, M1911A1 in the Vietnam War era. Designed by John Browning, the M1911 is the best known of his designs to use the short recoil principle in its basic design. The U.S. military procured around 2.7 million M1911 and M1911A1 pistols during its service life. The pistol served as the standard issue sidearm for the U.S. Armed Forces from 1911 to 1985. It was widely used in World War I, World War II, the Korean War, and the Vietnam War. The M1911A1 was replaced by the adoption of the 9mm Beretta M9 pistol as the standard U.S. military sidearm in 1985. However, the U.S. Army did not replace the M1911A1 with the Beretta M9 until October 1986, and due to the M1911's popularity among users, it has not been completely phased out. Modernized derivative variants of the M1911 are still in use by some units of the U.S. Army Special Forces, U.S. Marine Corps, and the U.S. Navy. Number 5. Colt Woodsman, $2,000. The Colt Woodsman is a semi-automatic sporting pistol manufactured by the U.S. Colt's Manufacturing Company from 1915 to 1977. It was designed by John Moses Browning. The frame design changed over time. In 3 distinct series, Colt changed the design of the Woodsman in 1955. The most significant was relocating the magazine release from the rear of the trigger guard to the heel of the grip, as on the first series.
This one has an angle down here at the butt. Forms a right
And they made it between 1915 and 1977.
angle with the front strap.
The reason why they stopped production in 77 is because the cost of manufacturing became too high.
This would run parallel with the barrel, and the magazine changes accordingly.
It was actually designed by John Browning, who sold that design to Colt.
Colt also introduced new models, such as the less expensive Huntsman model equipped with fixed sights. From 1960, walnut stocks with a thumb rest were optional, in place of the standard black plastic stocks. Number 4. Colt Detective Special, $2,000. The Colt Detective Special is a 6-shot carbon steel framed, 2-inch or 3-inch barreled double-action revolver, and the first example of a class of firearms known as snub-nose revolvers. Made by Colt's Manufacturing Company, this model revolver, as the name Detective Special suggests, was intended to be a concealed weapon used by plainclothes police detectives. Number 3. Smith & Wesson K22, $1,000. Smith & Wesson offered .22 caliber revolvers on the diminutive I-frame. Later, popular demand resulted in the introduction of a target-grade .22 caliber revolver on the K-frame. Production began in 1930. The revolver was called the K22 Outdoorsman. Most of us just call it the K22. Smith & Wesson made certain warranties with the revolver, including that the single-action trigger would break at 3 to 4 pounds and group 5 shots into less than 2 inches at 50 yards. Less than 20,000 were produced by the beginning of World War II. Smith & Wesson turned to wartime production, so the K22 was quickly unavailable. After World War II, all Smith & Wesson revolvers were upgraded.
Serial number is not real low, but it's not real high either, I don't imagine.
Smith & Wesson also went to a short action.
Serrations here on the front. They call this a 5-screw.
Which means that this was a shorter pull on the hammer.
Model of this serrations down the back as well.
And went to a anti-backlash trigger.
The K22 Illustrated features a 6-inch barrel with a full-length grip, micrometer sights, target hammer, and wide target trigger and trigger stop. The grips are Rogers hard plastic grips. The action is buttery smooth, to use a well-worn phrase. The single-action trigger has settled into 3.2 pounds. It's a sharp trigger that leaves nothing to be desired. The sights are easily sighted in. The weight is a good balance, and it most often rides in a Galco wheel gunner holster. The K22 is a classic revolver with both collector and shooter value. It is a must-have handgun for serious handgunners. Number 2. The Walther PPK. The PP and the PPK were among the world's first successful double-action semi-automatic pistols, but the PP went out of production in 1999 and have been widely copied. The most common variant is the Walther PPK, a smaller version of the PP with a shorter grip, barrel, and frame, and reduced magazine capacity. A new 2-piece wrap-around grip panel construction was used to conceal the exposed backstrap. It was released in 1931.
And we're good to go. Very simple. With your wife, and it's just a very sleek, beautiful gun. Insert your magazine, test for function. All metal frame, all metal slide, and it's definitely weighty. Again, with the blowback action, it's going to give you a little bit more recoil. It is a blowback action, which actually increases the recoil or the felt recoil.
The PPK saw widespread use. Nazi leader Adolf Hitler committed self-demise with his PPK in the Führer bunker in Berlin. A PPK carried by Princess Anne's personal police officer, James Beaton, infamously jammed during a kidnapping attempt on the princess and her husband. Number 1. Browning High Power. The Browning High Power is a single-action semi-automatic pistol available in the 9x19mm Parabellum and the 40 S&W calibers. It was based on a design by American firearms inventor John Browning and completed by Dieudonné Saïf at FN Herstal. FN Herstal named it the High Power in allusion to the 13-round magazine capacity, almost twice that of other designs at the time, such as the Luger or Colt M1911. After 82 years of continuous production, FN Herstal announced that the production of the High Power would end, and it was discontinued in early 2018 by Browning Arms. In 2022, FN announced they would resume production of the Browning High Power. That's all we have for you, folks. Join us next time.